I said, do me a favor, please, and tell me what goes on in this town.
Sheriff, I'm sorry.
I've been here 1 year. This is my 5th murder. What is this? The death capital of Maine? On a per capita basis, this place makes the South Bronx look like Sunnybrook Farm.
But I assure you, Sheriff...
I mean, is that why Tupper quit? He couldn't take it anymore? Somebody really should have warned me, Mrs. Fletcher. Now perfect strangers are coming to Cabot Cove to die.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Columbo Confab Podcast. This is Sean.
This is Steve. And Sean, you sound amazingly mellow for some reason. Have you been day drinking?
No, I have not been day drinking. I just had my first drink just now. I just had a couple sips, but maybe it's because I just feel happy and I'm ready to talk about this episode.
Did you take a Xanax?
I did earlier today. I did have a little bit of a... Yeah.
We solved this mystery.
I think it's worn off, though. But, yeah. Little announcement.
Did you smoke a doobie?
No, I didn't smoke a doobie. I don't have any doobies to be smoked. I have to apologize for the readers. This is coming to you kind of late because I went on vacation and we couldn't record. And I went to Boston, up to Vermont, New Hampshire, and then to Maine. And we went to Kennebuckport, Maine, which I read unofficially is the inspiration for Cabot Cove. In fact, there's a motel there called Cabot Cove Cottages. And so that tickled me. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I'm like, yay! And I got really excited watching this one. Because finally we have an episode set in Cabot Cove for the most part. And I'm like, maybe... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I've got a really important question.
What?
Did you buy me a souvenir?
No,
like
I don't know.
Like an ashtray?
No. Why? Do you do that?
What?
You collect
buy
ashtrays?
Souvenirs? No.
Okay. Are you referring to something that I'm not aware of, that I'm not getting?
No. Just, 30 years ago when people would go traveling and they would bring something for friends or family, they would either buy a t-shirt, a shot glass, or an ashtray, which would have some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It would have some kind of maybe the state emblem or caricature, the state bird or something. I don't know, but
my mom always likes me to get her caps, like baseball caps. And I felt bad because I didn't get her one when we went to Hawaii. Not necessarily from a baseball team, but, from whatever. So we went to the Norman Rockwell Museum, and I got to see some, the actual Rockwell paintings.
That's in Hawaii?
No. This is in Vermont. Or was it New Hampshire? Okay. I can't remember. It's Stockbridge. And so I'm like, you know what? I think, she likes art and all that shit, so I think she'd like a cap from the gift store, So I go in there, and I'm like, oh, they got to have caps. They had 3 caps, and 2 of them were red, and they said Norman Rockwell Museum on it. I'm like,
Make
that
America
looks like
great again?
Exactly. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't get that. That looks like a MAGA hat. So there was a nice turquoise one that I found that has a bicycle on it. It says Stockbridge, and then on the back it says Norman Rockwell Museum. I don't think she's ever going to wear it. But anyway, yeah.
Well, just to go back to the ashtray thing, I just remembered the only place I've seen ashtrays as souvenirs that you can still buy in Florida.
Really?
Yeah. Went to Destin, got family there, and went to the local Walmart to pick up some food, and they have the front section for the tourists, t-shirts, caps, whatever. But they have ashtrays. Destin, Florida. Almost bought one. Just to have.
That's interesting.
Just find it odd that you can buy an ashtray still.
I bought an ashtray once for a grab bag, a family grab bag, this one Christmas, and I got my cousin-in-law in the grab bag, so I decided to get him an ashtray from Planet K. I don't know. Do you have
What's
Planet
that?
K? Okay, apparently not.
No,
It's
what is
basically what they called a head shop back in the day. Like, you can go in, you can buy a bong, you can buy...
that? Oh, okay. Yeah,
you know,
I
one of
what
those...
kind of store you're talking about.
They got some psychedelic posters up there.
Are you sure you don't have a doobie?
I don't have a doobie, no. But, you know, because my cousin-in-law and my piece of shit cousin, they were big stoner, or are big
Nice!
stoners.
So this
Oh,
is
no.
loved family, okay.
She doesn't listen to this, trust me. Anyway, they were... So I
Well, if you don't get a Christmas card this year, we know why.
No, I don't talk to this. I don't talk to her anymore. But, yeah, so I guess I just update. I'll be like Kathleen Madigan. Update! Guys, normally this podcast would be released on Monday morning. We record Sunday night, and then that gets released the Monday after, not the day after, but like a week later. And I don't have anything to... I'm not going to be able to edit this after we're done recording because, number one, I don't
You
really...
edit these?
Yes, I edit these. Number one, I don't
edit?
feel like it. You know, number two, I'm going to be too drunk to do anything.
I see.
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to start releasing episodes Wednesday morning. So at Wednesday, 12 a.m. Or roundabout, episode would drop. So just so y'all know, for those of you who are looking forward, and I'm sorry that we didn't have one for you last week, but I had to go on vacation. So yeah,
you had to. Yeah.
We are
You
not.
could have taken a laptop with you, and we could have recorded, which would have been cool if you were recording from the inspiration for Cabot. But no, it's all right. I'm not going to hold it against you.
Let me
It's
tell
all
you
in the
something.
past.
Let me tell you something. No, I had already released A Fashionable Way to Die. It had already been released. And so there was nothing, we didn't record, so I had nothing to edit. But I will tell you, there's this other podcast I do with Eric, my friend Eric, whom you know.
I got to get a drink. Hold on.
Yeah, it's going to happen again, called the Best Picture Podcast. And I had to edit our episode about Jaws, which went out. I never had a chance to edit it. And we were at Martha's Vineyard on this vacation. So I'm like, whoa, this is
How's
like...
Martha?
She's great. But I unfortunately, we just went there for like a few hours, walked around, and then took the ferry back. I have a very hands-off approach at planning vacation. Like if I went on vacation every time, it would just be a cruise because I hate planning. So I let Tom do all the planning. Had I known we were going to go there, I would have told him where in Martha's Vineyard I wanted to go because that's where they filmed my favorite movie of all time, Jaws. Not that there's much left that still looks like that. It's almost 50 years later. But, yeah. So, anyway,
Which Jaws
here
are
we
we
are.
talking about? 3?
What?
Jaws 3 or 4? Which one? Which is your favorite Jaws?
The first one, you goop. Jaws 4 is one of the worst sequels of all time.
I have not made it through that movie. I cannot. I've tried.
Why does the shark... First of all... there's like 3 different sharks, and I guess it wants revenge on the Brody family. No, there's Jaws 1, Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and I think they all died. And is this shark related to those sharks? It follows her from Martha's Vineyard all the way down to the Bahamas. Why? Anyway, Michael Caine, who is in the movie, has never seen it, but he allegedly said he enjoys the house that it bought him.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Murder, She Wrote. I think
Murder, She Wrote. I just have one quick thing. I want to thank somebody I'm going to read right now. Somebody left us a very, very sweet review on Apple Podcasts. Okay. This is from 122627SW, which is maybe, I don't know.
How you pronounce that?
122627 SWA. Or Southwest, okay. I'll say. All right, so they say, thank you. I've recently started rewatching Murder, She Wrote from the beginning. I have fond memories of watching it with my grandma in the 1980s and 90s. And I like that they put grandma, Gramma, instead of grandma, which is how we say it. Your recollection of doing the same made me smile, along with the mention of Golden Girls and Wheel of Fortune. Thank you for giving me another chance to remember my grandma. I look forward to listening to new episode as they become available. Yes.
That's really nice.
And we also want to say we're recording this on Sunday the 17th. And we just want to say happy birthday, Angela Lansbury. She turned 96 yesterday.
Oh, wow. 96. I didn't know today was her birthday.
It was yesterday. It was yesterday.
Now, why doesn't Google News, the service that I kind of get my news source from, why don't they tell me about that shit instead of all the other crap? I get so much nonsense. I would rather hear about Angela Lansbury. I mean, with all the things I've searched, you would think, oh, this guy has a weird fascination for Angela Lansbury for some reason. But no, they don't give me that little bit of information. Good job,
I
Google.
turn on my Google, like I put on my phone, and Dead by Daylight is getting a makeover.
I do get a lot of those. Yeah. I get a lot.
I get Doctor
Who
shit. Yeah,
I don't get that. No.
No, not me.
I don't. Yeah, I just don't watch the show anymore. So it's. I guess it's fallen off my my search filter. I don't know.
Okay. And Columbo, I get some Columbo stuff too.
I still get that.
But there's not a lot of it out there. So yeah, we are going to talk about the last episode or episodes of Series 5. I'm sorry, Season 5. Jesus, what am I, British all of a sudden? Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, which was written...
No, it's just Mirror, Mirror.
No, it's Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. I'm looking at it right here.
Really? I thought it was Mirror, Mirror.
No, it's Mirror, Mirror on... Okay, Jesus. You're making me doubt myself here. I have to rewind this now. Let's see. Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. It's right here. I'm looking at it.
Okay. All right, fine.
Although they shouldn't have capitalized on the, just saying. So this is written by a fellow named Peter S. Fisher. Does that name ring a bell?
No.
Okay, so it should. Because not only is Peter S. Fisher a producer and I believe co-creator with Levinson and Link on this show, but he wrote a total of 7 Columbo episodes.
Oh, wow.
Including your absolute favorite, Negative Reaction, as as Butterfly and Shades of Grey, which is the second William Shatner one. And congratulations, by the way, for William Shatner being the oldest man in space. I think that's actually pretty cool. And I don't know why George Takei was being so...
I was about to say, George Takei doesn't agree with you. What is going on?
I don't know.
I mean, I get it that William Shatner is a bit of a prima donna, especially back when he was doing the movies and all that. But I think he's kind of mellowed out a little. Not that I really follow him, but he doesn't I don't feel like I know he and George would spit at each other back and forth or do little hate tweets back and forth. But it seems like the last few times George Takei is saying something, but Shatner just not responding, and I kind of like I'm on the side of Shatner at this point. Before I was, on the side of Takei, but I'm telling you, Takei coming off, it's kind of bitter.
Yeah, dude, are you mad because they didn't ask you? Whatever. Gosh, William Shatner, 90 years old.
That's incredible.
These people are going to die soon, man. Okay. So Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, despite primarily being set in Cabot, Cove, opens in New York City, where we meet a young...
Because there's pool halls in New York, I guess.
Well, ask me where it starts, where the episode starts, Steve.
Where in New York? I know where it starts.
Well, it starts here in New York City. Go ahead.
Okay.
What do you say to that? Come on. Are you like 2? No, it says here New York City. New York City. Past the old El Paso. No salsa. No.
Okay. You think our readers are going to know that? I don't.
You know what? I have tried that in a room full of like 30 people, and it worked. So, whatever.
But you're in Texas, so of course they know that, and they're probably over 40.
Okay.
We got to remember we've got a young audience we got to cater to.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
This podcast. So the 10-year-olds are not going to know what you're talking about.
Okay. I don't think there's anybody. Actually, if I was 10, I'd probably listen to this podcast.
Would you?
And we would, if it was back in the 1980s and we were like, watching current episodes and then like dropping an episode about them the day after, like some Doctor Who podcasts do.
Okay.
Anyway, so New York City, we meet
New York City?
Okay, it's too late. It's ruined. Never mind, you ruined it. So we meet.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just. The Xanax and the booze and the doobie I just smoked are really going to my head. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't do any of those things.
Oh, if you want to hear a podcast where we do those things, listen to Doctor Who Gives a Fuck. We're doing everything on that podcast.
Oh, hold on, I got to take a drink. You just brought up another podcast. Oh, Jesus.
I drank.
Sean, I can't keep up.
One of them. Oh, I'm going to be mentioning another one. I'm going to mention the other one soon because it's just too much of a coincidence. I have to mention it.
I'll take a pre-drink. Okay, go ahead.
We meet this handsome young gentleman named Bobby, and he's playing pool in a bar in New York City that is serving venison chili. And
what?
There's a chalkboard up on the wall that says something like "Today's special venison chili."
Huh.
And it turns out that Bobby is a bit of a gambler. He is a pro gambler, in fact, but he sucks at being a gambler.
Yeah.
Now, Bobby is played by a man named Daniel McDonald. Do you recognize him?
He looks familiar, but I honestly can't remember what he's from.
So, a little while after he did this, he was on this other show called Columbo, where he played a guy who kidnapped Columbo's nephews.
Oh, yes!
This is him! It's him! Yes!
That is him!
Yes!
Oh my God, that's right.
And
what happened?
He died. He died of like. What do you mean? What happened?
Oh, now I'm going to feel the actor's dead.
Yeah, he died. Of,
I was about to trash his performance, but now I can't.
You could go ahead and trash it. Doesn't matter. You know how many people's performances we trashed in the last episode with the French accents? They were all dead. All dead. All dead.
Oh, I feel horrible.
So,
okay, go ahead. I will review his acting at the end of this podcast.
I meant to mention the DVD of this. When there are 4 episodes on the DVD, because this is like, there's like 5 discs for each season.
They can only put 4 on a DVD. That's funny. Yeah. Go ahead.
And they, when you go, okay, I want to see the episode list. I don't want to play all episode list. And then they have a little thumbtack for each story. Well, for this one, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, episode 2, the thumbnail was a fucking picture of the murderer at the end holding up a gun. I'm like, you can't be. This isn't that.
You can't do that.
You can't. That can't be the murderer. And so, it is. They fucking have a spoiler. The people at the DVD company fucked it up yet again. The same way they would fuck up all the Columbo synopses. Like a lawyer.
Okay. Time out. You cannot bring up Columbo anymore. You've brought him up.
No
like
more
10
Columbo.
Times.
Okay, we're putting
You've
the
brought him up 10 times. This is the Murder, She Wrote podcast.
Okay,
Sir.
I'm sorry. I'm
Sir.
sorry. Okay.
So he's losing. He's like down $500.
Mm-hmm. And his daddy shows up and pays the debt for him, and his daddy's this big old fella named Hank. And I thought
like
that Hank. Yeah, Hank. I thought he was going to be like a jerk because number one, he looks like kind of like a jerk. Number 2, I thought he was going to be the victim because when they have the tonight on Murder, She Wrote, they cut to the victim, and I thought it was him. But no, totally thought Hank was the victim. Anyway.
Yeah, so, Hank is married to Eudora, who is, for the past 22 years, America's, unprecedented premier female mystery writer. And also, she's the premier chain smoker in the episode as well. And that woman, I like, she holds her cigarette very daintily. Did you notice this? Like she holds it she uses one of those little sticks. I don't know what they call those, where you put your cigarette into. She
Yeah,
likes to
a
smoke
cigarette
it that
holder.
way. Is that what they are? I thought there was a name for it. But
I you know what? I was Hunter S. Thompson for Halloween one year. And
yeah,
it was a really
he had
good.
the same thing.
Yeah, I used one of those. I loved it. I'm like, I should smoke all my cigarettes out of this from now on.
What
And
does that do? What does that?
I don't
Does it
know.
enhance the draw? Like, I don't understand.
Don't know, but only people in murder mysteries and Hunter S. Thompson smoke them. Miss Scarlet, the old Miss Scarlet from the 70s, had one of them on the cover of Clue. Yeah, you know, you got a great Halloween costume when you're at the bar and a drag queen comes up and compliments you on your costume. That's great. That's great. Okay, I have to. I have to. So
either another podcast or Columbo.
no,
What are we doing?
it's not going to be Columbo. It's not going to be
podcast.
So
Okay.
Eudora is played by an actress named Jean Simmons, and I have not heard of Jean Simmons.
Oh, from
until-
Kiss. Yeah. Okay.
no,
no. Didn't recognize her without all the makeup, but
No,
yeah.
it's Jean with Jean, not.
Does she have that really long tongue?
Anyway, please, sir. So she's played by Jean Simmons, and I have not heard of her until yesterday when I had to watch a movie for my other podcast, 1001 Movies podcast, where she plays the.
Okay, cool.
She played the lead or the co-lead in that, and she was like 23 years old, and she was gorgeous. I just had to mention it. You know, she's an old-time actress. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
And also, I just have to point out. I'm sorry. I won't shut the fuck up. She's at the office of her publisher, whose name is Lou, and he feeds. He's got a tank full of tropical fish, and he feeds them freshwater fish food. Yeah.
How do you...
Gotcha.
Wow. Yeah, you're really noticing these things in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's basically telling Eudora that he's not going to publish her next book, and he's going to actually he wants her to kind of take a break from the writing, and he's going to bring on this new author who's had 6 bestsellers in a row, J.B. Fletcher. He wants to bring her on board, and that will be his premier female mystery writer at that publisher.
And we also
Eudora is not happy.
Yeah. She, she's kind of a diva, but and we also meet Liza, who is her agent.
Right.
And I don't know if this is jumping ahead, but Liza is having an affair with Hank, Eudora's husband, and Liza is married to a gentleman named Victor, and he's played by an actor named David Hedison, or maybe it's Hedison, but he is famous for playing Felix Leiter in 2 James Bond movies. Do you know who Felix Leiter is? Yeah. He played Felix Leiter in License to Kill and License to Kill, which is Timothy Dalton, and Live and Let Die, which is the first Roger Moore one. And License to Kill, he had a really major part in that because it opens with his wedding and some drug lords kill his wife, and I think there's a shark that bites his legs off or something, and then James Bond goes rogue and he's going to take revenge on these drug dealers, one of which is a very young and very good looking Benicio del Toro.
Really?
Yeah. And so we've got our cast of characters here, but where's Cabot Cove? So you take it from here.
We're getting there. So Eudora leaves angrily, learning about that this J.B. Fletcher is going to take over her spot. What she called J.B. A English school teacher from Maine is going to dethrone me.
She could be talking about Stephen King too.
Ooh, but I don't think Stephen King's female.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind.
So it's kind of funny. You get the impression that Eudora is kind of she's got a nasty side, right? They're setting her up to be mean, and she's at one point she's leaving after she leaves the office to the publisher or Lou's office. Liza talks to her outside, and she is mad at JB, and she is going, and for all her bad luck, she's got a horrible marriage, her career is going downhill. What else? She's just, she has gas, so she's blaming all these misfortunes on JB Fletcher. She has zeroed in. That is the person who is causing her the pain in her life. And so we're kind of getting set up that, she wants to get revenge on poor Jessica.
Right. And what's the name of the witch in Snow White?
Yeah. I don't remember, but I have Snow White in my notes. Because, the whole apple thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the apple thing, the name of the episode. What was the name of the witch in
I don't
Snow
remember.
White?
You got Google.
Oh, she's just called the Evil Queen. Okay.
Okay.
Right, that's fine.
But anyways, so
that's my Saturday night name.
I see. So Eudora goes back to her New York apartment, and Hank comes in. He's a little buzzed, and they begin the fight. They are not a happy couple. No. One of the main problems is Hank's son from a previous marriage, of course. They're talking about Bobby and how Bobby is kind of a troublemaker. He's always sponging off of Eudora and Hank, but Hank has this guilt trip because I guess he wasn't around very much for his son when he was growing up, so he feels a little guilty. Like I owe him time, is what he says. I think to Eudora, but Eudora basically says it's either me or your family, and
not very
that
nice.
That just pisses Hank off, so he leaves.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. She is a witch. And by the way, she mentions that Bobby charged up I guess her credit card for a $400 VCR. Where is it, Bobby? Where are you watching the video? I want to see the $400.
What is he watching? Sean, back then when VCRs, when did they come out? 70s?
Oh,
would you say?
yeah. There was one in that show that William Shatner was in.
Yeah, that huge. It must have weighed like 100 pounds.
When we got one, I think it was we got one at fucking Chicago. If you're from Chicago, you're old. Polk Brothers in Chicago, and it was the size of a
Chicago. Sorry, no, never mind. Keep going.
It was the size of I don't know, a bread. It was like 4 Xbox consoles in one, and it was heavy, and the remote control had a cord on it. It was
Did
cute.
it have 4 heads?
Yeah, it had 4 heads, and you could buy a head cleaner tape, and I don't even know if those things did anything. It's just, yeah. And I was told, don't touch it. You can't touch it. Don't touch the VCR.
Because it probably cost $500.
I think it may have cost like $1,100 at that time.
Oh my god!
Yeah, this is before.
That's not including inflation, right? That's
this is like early '80s, I think, because we were still living in our apartment. And my dad would tape movies off a TV, and so we had Star Wars that was taped off a TV, and it was great. I would always watch it, except for the scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi meets Luke Skywalker, because my mom had to fucking dry her hair with the hair dryer, so it's a little staticky. You remember when that would happen? No,
I never had that problem.
Or I just want to use AOL, but my mom's on the phone. Could you get off, Mom? I want to look
up
for
the phone
porn.
to call her friend, and you're in the middle like, I just downloaded a new photo. Come on, get to the money shot.
Oh, yeah, she did not understand that. And, my mother was young then, but the whole concept of the internet was just like, whatever. Now, she's 71 years old. She's ordering from Amazon. She's on Facebook. But back then, she was like, why does this exist? What do you use this for? Of course, I couldn't tell her what I primarily used it for, which was chatting on AOL at $3 a minute.
Oh, my God.
So, I had to look up... We cut to a very dramatic scene between... Jessica and her good friend that we meet for the first time in this podcast, but he's been in the show the whole time, Dr. Seth Hazlitt, played by William Wyndon. And
wait, so So Seth, this is his first episode?
No, he's been on this before. He's been on the show since season 2 because he played one of the murderers in our first episode.
Well, I know. I mean, the character.
Yeah, he's been on here.
Is this the character's? Okay,
no,
not the actor.
No,
yeah, I know the actor because he was in that one that takes place on that ranch, which I can't think of the name, which was Funeral at 50 Mile.
There we go. Yeah, our first episode. Yeah. And he played one of the murderers because there were 4 murderers in that one. And
he escaped and moved to Maine, got his doctorate.
Apparently. And he's telling Jessica, "You look tired," and apparently you can't tell Angela Lansbury or Penelope Wilton that they look tired because that will apparently she gets really pissed off. And this is the first time I think that we have seen Jessica really pissed off. I mean, she's
really
put. I don't know how many people.
She didn't seem that upset.
It seemed to me. I don't know. Okay, but
so I like we may go into this further, but I like that the title of this is Mirror, Mirror on the Wall because you kind of get that Jessica and Eudora are kind of similar, but almost opposites, the extreme opposites of one another. They're both mystery writers, but here, we see Eudora and Hank fighting and separating, while the next scene we cut to is Seth and Jessica. I mean, they're arguing, but they're more listening to one another. You know what I mean? It's a more healthy argument because Seth is worried about her, that she's too wrapped up in her work, and he kind of tells her, gives her the truth that, hey, you've been doing this for many years since Frank died. Time has passed, and now now you've got some time. Why don't you enjoy life instead of being buried or chained? I think it's chained to your typewriter. Yeah. So it's interesting, even though they're kind of tiffing, but it's a healthy conversation.
Well, until she tells him to go play some solitaire. That's a reference to the Manchurian Candidate. Anyway, okay, so Eudora just. You don't remember that? That whenever they would tell him, why don't you play a game of solitaire? That's when he would break into his trance, and that's.
Well, yeah, I don't remember hearing that in this episode. Yeah, I know Manchurian Candidate.
No, I'm joking.
It's one of my favorites. Okay.
It's not mentioned in the episode, but so Eudora shows up at Jessica's doorstep with a basket full of apples. And they know they know each other because they're both famous mystery authors, and
they do conventions together.
Yeah. And Eudora's like, well, I was gonna stay at Hill House, but I forgot to mention this. I was gonna stay at Hill House, which is a motel, but it was full, and I don't know. Really. I'm gonna have to drive up, and Jessica's like, okay, I'll take the bait. Oh, why don't you stay here? Okay, Jessica, thank you. Now, I had to look this up. I had to find out because where they're at, especially when she's with Seth at the beginning and they're fishing, it looks like Maine. Trust me, I was there last week, and I'm like, wait, they didn't fly across the country just to do some exterior shots. Plus, her house, her front yard looks like Maine. So I had to look it up where the exterior of her house is. And it is in I don't know if it's Mendocino or Mendocino, California, which is obviously closer to Universal Studios. And it is the Blair House, and it is currently a bed and breakfast. Of course, all the interior stuff is shot on a studio, but that is an actual place. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and I remember I said on a previous podcast, she, for being a best-selling author, she lives in kind of a small house. Sir, this is probably a $2 million property, the way that the real estate prices are.
Yeah, well, in that house, I mean, it's an older home, but it looks beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm kind of comparing it to the interior, which, as you said, is all on set, but it is a beautiful home. The gardening does need to be worked on, so that's what Jessica is when Eudora shows up. But those apples, man, those look delicious.
I really wanted one of those apples.
They're big,
Yeah.
red, juicy.
Yeah. Ooh. I wonder how real they were. Like, I don't remember the last time I saw an apple that looked like that. You know, I wonder if they were
I've never
like
seen.
wax fruit.
I don't know. They look too perfect.
Yeah.
But anyways, Hank is looking for Eudora, and he finds out through Bobby that that she left, that her car's gone. But Hank does a little basic investigation, sees a map open to Maine, sees that she's got Jessica's new book, so he puts two and two together. And it's interesting because Hank, Bobby, Liza, and I think even the publisher Lou all kind of agree that she's a loose can, or Eudora's a loose cannon. She has problems with reality. I think they even state that specifically, saying that she mixes her plots with real life. And so they're concerned, and all of them are concerned about Jessica.
I was reminded very much of the Columbo episode, "Rest in Peace, Mrs. Columbo," where the murderer's plot is to get revenge for the arrest of her husband, which is a little bit different. But it's I do get the same sort of vibe from Eudora as the lady in that episode. So, you know, if it's a movie and you're going to find out where someone's going, they always leave a book of maps open to where they're at, so you know exactly. Oh, and Bobby is snacking down on a sandwich, a liverwurst and Swiss cheese sandwich, and
disgusting. Have you ever had liverwurst?
No. I don't, but I'm not sure.
My dad used to buy that all the time. Oscar Mayer would sell it in these almost like a sausage package, like you would buy breakfast sausage in. And he loved that. And he would give that to me as lunch. He'd put it on white bread with spicy mustard. Oh, it was horrible.
Is this different than summer sausage? There's also summer sausage.
No, this is like a paste. Think almost like a pate, but it's. I kind of did grow an affinity for it as I grew up with it, but I can't find it. I've looked for it actually at local grocery stores. No one sells it here, which is probably why it's so gross. I mean, it's just nobody wants to eat that.
It's like Limburger cheese. Remember growing up, like it being cartoons and the Three Stooges.
It would be like an odor with green little wavy lines above it.
Yeah.
Indicating that it stunk.
I'm like, I've never seen Limburger cheese. I don't know what is it called?
Either.
Something else? I don't know. We need a cheeseologist to email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com and tell us about Limburger cheese. And also Hank's diabetic, which the fact that he's like, oh, I need to take my shot now. I felt a little lightheaded earlier. It's like, that's going to come up later. That's a clue. It turns out it's not.
And it's interesting because he is he's taking his insulin shot in his arm. That's not where you take an insulin shot. You don't stick it in your arm.
Your leg, right?
You do it in your thigh, your stomach, your ass, wherever there's fat. You know, because if you put those needles in a muscle or somewhere, it's going to hurt.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you put it in a fatty region of your body. So one of those locations, but you don't stick. It's like is he putting heroin in his arm? Like what's going on?
That's interesting.
Was that a spoon that I saw over on the sink? Come on.
And one thing that I noticed, so Bobby and Hank, is that King of the Hill? Hank and Bobby, father and son. I just made that realization. I'll sell propane and propane accessories.
What was that?
They take off to Maine and stop. What's so funny?
It's your accent. It was just.
I'll sell propane. It sounds like Bill Clinton. I'll sell propane and propane.
Yeah, you're doing Hank Hill and Bill Clinton. It's just.
I did not have sexual intercourse with that woman. Oh man, they got that new American crime story, and it's about Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton and that whole thing. Watched it in a hotel, but somebody said this is dumb. give me the remote. So for like an hour, it was just constant. Don't get me started.
But yeah. Oh, the reason Bobby's there, by the way, because Hank's like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, I came by to borrow some money. I want to go to the horse track, and can you loan me a couple $100?"
No, Bobby. No.
And the thing about Bobby, besides not being right in the head, the way he eats that sandwich. Did you notice that he was smacking his lips?
Oh,
and
yeah.
then he would poke at it with his pinky finger, and then stick his pinky finger in his mouth. He did that multiple times, like he was dabbing the liverwurst. I'm not sure what the fuck he was doing, but he would poke at it and then suck on his pinky, the tip of his pinky finger.
Yeah, that's 80s sandwich acting right there.
Yeah, it is, and it was just like, oh my god, I got to turn the volume down. It's just bad.
Are you one of those people that doesn't like to hear people eating? Because I
No,
like that too.
I can't stand it.
Okay.
I cannot stand it.
I'll file that away for later because I can't stand it either.
No, I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me one bit, actually.
It bothers me, and it's especially I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but
so you don't have to hold that over my head at any time. Just think I'm totally fine with it.
Okay,
Totally fine.
But it's like you can hear the food like moving around in their mouth. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Like the fact you're doing that right now, I want to punch you.
So this is interesting. I just noticed this just now because I'm watching this in the background. Well, I know you don't like it when I say that, but
No, I'm fine with that.
You know, when Bobby and Hank leave, they're shown driving off, and we see a guy in a car that follows them, and didn't realize it until now. That's the man who will later become the victim. Okay. So he's a private investigator. And meanwhile, Eudora, you know, do you drink coffee, Steve?
Yes, I do. Not at night, though.
Yeah. Don't do this, ladies and gentlemen. Do not drink coffee at night.
I would drink a nice calming tea at night if I wanted a hot drink.
Like sleepy time tea. Sleepy time tea
Right.
with the bear on the cover.
Yes.
Remember that? And Eudora's like, come on, Jessica, one more drink. And she's like, well, with all this caffeine, I'm going to be up all night. But she drinks the coffee anyway. But Eudora has drugged it.
Yeah,
and
she put some kind of white powder in it. We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Jessica says, oh, I'm going to be up all night with this caffeine, and Eudora says something like, no, you'll sleep like the dead. Okay. It's like, well,
And then
Jessica
they
can't die.
they cut to
But you
Jessica
definitely get
in
the
bed.
feeling that she is the killer.
Yeah. They cut to Jessica in bed, and she's flip-flopping around. Like, if she had been drugged, she wouldn't be moving in her sleep. Trust me, I've taken sleeping pills. You literally wake up in the same position you were when you fell asleep. But anyway, usually. Not all the time.
Yeah, well, when she goes to bed, Jessica goes to bed, Dora sneaks into her room just to make sure she's asleep because she's got some plans. Which we find out, I don't know if we find out at this point or if we find out later, but she's looking for Jessica's manuscript to her new book that she's currently writing. And her goal is, which we do find out later, is to steal that manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the reason she's there is not for a friendly visit. There is a motive or a evil intent behind it.
Yeah, I don't know how she expects to pull it off because, well, we'll get there, but I don't know how she expects to pull it off. That she's just going to publish Jessica's novel and Jessica's going to, Jessica should be like, I'm going to call my lawyer. In the morning.
And they're going to meet again at some convention. Which I'd be curious. You and I have both done conventions, and we've met multiple different personalities. Jessica would be the kind of person, correct me if I'm wrong, or JB, if we went to go get her autographed, she would be down in the lobby socializing outside of the convention, right? She'd be that kind of person.
Yeah.
Meet with her fans.
She'd
sign
have like
books.
Maybe a glass of Chardonnay. Yeah.
But Eudora would lock herself in the room. After the convention, she would move from the signing room, and she would charge you $20 more than everybody else, and then after that, she'd go straight to her room.
Yeah,
and
Eudora
not talk
is
to anybody.
the William Shatner of of conventions. Yeah, you wouldn't see her. And Angela or Jessica is more like Bruce Campbell. Although I don't think he hangs out with fans, but I think he's a little bit too famous. These Doctor Who people, though, that we're referring to, So this is something. So Jessica wakes up late because she was, fucking drugged, and she goes downstairs.
She's hungover.
Eudora, she's hungover. Literally,
And I like how she's walking like you would if you're hungover. She's kind of stumbling, holding her forehead.
That must have been some cheap sleeping pills because good sleeping pills don't make you feel like that. You wake up feeling refreshed. So this is I thought of you instantly. Eudora's making breakfast and she's like, "Do you want some coffee? Can I make anything?" And Jessica says, "Eggs over easy." Now,
okay. I reminded you of me somehow.
Yes, because I was reminded of both of our efforts, unbeknownst to each other. We were trying to make eggs over easy. Despite their name, it is not easy to make eggs over easy.
No, it's not. No.
It's not easy. And there are some easy cheat things you can do, but I think it was very presumptuous of Jessica to think that Eudora could easily make eggs over easy without fucking it up. And Jessica
probably never cooked a meal in her life. I mean, come on.
I know. And then Eudora's like, "Do you want some bacon?" And Jessica's like, "Oh, no. I'm too healthy for that." But she gets the pat of butter like the size of a matchbook of butter. It's like, girl.
I noticed that too. Damn, she really likes butter.
You're not going to eat the bacon, but you're going to have like a fucking quarter stick of butter on your toast? Gee whiz. I will say, though,
eggs over easy, though. Those are so delicious.
It's just so hard to make them.
Not anymore. Not since we've discussed this specifically on this podcast, but it's not that hard anymore if you follow that
Mrs. Kringle's kitchen. Yeah, you put a little water in it, then cover it up, but you have to time it exactly right so you don't get like basically hard boiled eggs. But man, if they come out good, they're great. You just break the yolk and eat them up. Yes. Okay, this is what it does.
Oh my god!
Yeah, this is when you're in your 40s.
Hannibal Lecter, will you calm down with the mouth noises today? Oh my god!
It's not porn anymore. It's just food. Anyway. Hank shows up and he's like, Jessica goes to get the paper outside and she notices that Eudora's car has moved. And Eudora's like, no, I didn't go anywhere last night. And Hank shows up with Bobby and he's like, we got here at 2 a.m. this morning and we're staying at the Hill House. And she's like, I thought they were all booked up. He goes, yeah, somebody called in and made a bunch of fake bookings. That is so 1989 right there. So, Jessica's very friendly with Frank, and which is good, because I really totally thought that Hank was going to be some kind of asshole, but he's not really.
No.
Yeah. And
except for, having a extramarital affair with Liza. But
yeah, that's true, but by the end of the episode, you get that everybody is just sort of okay with it. Like, like, their spouses were assholes, so...
Well, Victor's an asshole, that's for sure.
Yeah, Victor, Felix Leiter.
Liza's husband, but yeah, he's... And the thing is, he's been suspecting, or he has suspected that Liza's been fooling around, so we find out that... this is a little bit later, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but the body that is discovered is actually the PI that Victor hired to follow Liza and also Hank.
Mm-hmm. And
we don't know at that point, and Eudora doesn't recognize him. So at this point, when I'm thinking, who's the killer? Who are your primary suspects at this? juncture?
It was Liza. I thought it was Liza because she seemed like an ancillary character, But then, and there's going to be something later on that I was totally fixed. It's her. It's Liza. But yeah, we find
it would make sense. It would make sense if she was. Yeah, the episode does a really good job of setting Eudora up as the killer because it's so obvious that they're planting her, but that's the reason you can't believe it's the killer because there wouldn't be any mystery to it. It's
right, it can't be her.
Way too obvious.
Yeah. Although there was an Agatha Christie story one time where it turned out to be that person. I'm not going to say that
that's
story
funny.
for the which was clever. I totally never thought it was Eudora. I mean, she's such a patsy. And I think this is 5 episodes in a row out of 5 that we've done where the wrong person is arrested and ends up in jail. So they find this body. Boy Scout comes running up while they're taking a walk. He's like, Mrs. Fletcher, there's a dead body. It's like, it was almost as if the Boy Scout troop found it and the leader of the Boy Scouts, whatever you call that, the head, I don't know. He's like, there's a dead body, go find Mrs. Fletcher. Not the sheriff.
Yeah, right.
Mrs. Fletcher. That's what it seemed like.
There's been a death. Well, Scout leader John, what should we do, call the police? No.
Go get Mrs. Fletcher.
You go find Jessica Fletcher. But she's on the other side of town, sir. I don't care. Go.
Oh, look, she just happens to be over here. And I feel bad for the kid that played the Boy Scout because his face doesn't get to be on camera. And for all we know, that could have just been ADR and somebody dubbed in his voice, So I guess we should.
Oh, maybe they had to. Maybe the kid couldn't deliver his line. He was too nervous.
Yeah, could be.
But that was an actual. It looks like an actual troop. I wouldn't be surprised if they got some local troop to kind of fill in. That would have been cool.
That's true. Yeah. Now we need to talk about Sheriff Metzger. So he took over from Amos Tupper at the beginning of this season. He's from New York. And what I love about it is that he basically
New York.
Addresses,
sorry.
He basically addresses the elephant in the room right away, and I love that they talk about this. He tells Jessica, per capita, there's more murders here in Cabot Cove than there are in South Brooklyn, or something like that. I'm sorry, he doesn't have that type of accent. And also, there's a guy with a camera who I think is in other episodes. But he says to Eudora, like, the sheriff isn't going to... Jessica's going to solve this murder. And I'm like, finally, someone has acknowledged, not that she's a mystery author, but she's solved dozens of murders that she never gets any credit for. So it's like,
Yeah.
So Eudora's like, well, I'm going to be a bitch, and I'm going to be the detective, and I'm going to look at the body, and he must have had a gun. The motive wasn't robbery because he has this $3,000 watch on. And yeah, so it's just suspicious. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, Jessica. Am I stealing your thunder? It's actually just, it's a bunch of...
Yeah, she wants to... I think at one point, the publisher, Lewis, shows up and she says, I'm going to beat her at her own game. I'm going to solve this murder mystery in her own backyard. Like this whole setup, she's just loving it. That she's going to bring Jessica down.
Yeah, which isn't very nice. She's not a nice person. And
no, she's not. And her character does a complete, 180. By the way, at the end, which I didn't like. But
I didn't like that either. No, I think she deserved to be punished. Well, you know what? Her husband. No, did her husband leave her or not? It's not clear.
He says he's going to get a lawyer, but that could have been to get his son. For his son.
Out of
I don't
jail.
know.
Yeah. Okay. So, whoops. So this guy, we don't know who he is. He was killed in the middle of the night. So we have to think about where everybody was in the middle of the night, which is, I kind of have a problem with this part of the story.
Oh?
Because I think that the person who was the killer had a pretty good alibi. Should we say who the killer is? No. Should we say
well,
that?
you've already spoiled it for all our listeners by saying that on the DVD art that was in the menus that showed the killer.
But most people are probably... It's Bobby.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So this guy was killed in the middle of the night, and Bobby and his dad, Hank, they got in around 2:00 in the morning. Okay, they left Luann at home and got there. That was a reference to King of the Hill.
There's on HBO Max. I saw a trailer. They're going to do the death of Brittany Murphy. They're going to discuss
really.
It. Yeah.
What made you think of that just now?
Because you just said Luann. She did the voice of Luann in King of the Hill.
Oh, that's right. We've talked about this before in the podcast. We brought her up. That's right.
Yeah, she died. I think she was 32. I think they said in the trailer. But there's a lot of mystery revolving around that murder. I don't know the full details, but I remember when I did watch a YouTube video years ago on it. I remember thinking it was very suspicious.
Yeah,
I can't remember what exactly made me think that.
It was like an overdose, but like maybe of like sleeping pills or Xanax or something like that. I think, I don't know. So it was was it suicide? Was it accident? She was great in Clueless. She was great in this movie called Drop Dead Gorgeous. Anyway, all right, where she was obsessed with Liza Minnelli. So
really?
Well, in the movie she was. She basically was obsessed with Liza Minnelli because her brother would always dress like Liza Minnelli. And
okay, that's a thing. That's a thing. So
she was like, she's always talking about her brother. This one time, I met my brother and went to a party in New York, and Greg Louganis was there. Really, it really happened. Yeah, it's true. I can't do her justice, but that's what she says. So this murder is on the news. And they mentioned that Eudora and Jessica are there, and it's like, oh, everybody's got to go to Cabot Cove now. I'm not sure why. Liza has to go to Cabot Cove.
Your two like top-selling female mystery writers are going to solve the case.
Yeah.
That's news. That would be really interesting. Think about it. What if there was a murder in Austin, and you had I don't know any current authors, but two of them were going to join forces to Wonder Twin power activate and solve that crime. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. You know what's awesome is a Columbo Murder She Wrote like thing. You know, that would be great. But you know what would ever be even better than that? A Murder She Wrote Magnum PI crossover.
Yeah. Oh, if only one can dream. I want one with Jessica Fletcher and Webster.
You can just shake them up. Barnaby Jones and McLeod. I think that Murder She Wrote was the only show that ever did a crossover, and it just boggles my mind.
No, I remember hearing that the Love Boat had Charlie's Angels on one episode. They did a crossover.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
God.
Never saw it.
You know what? When we're done with this in like 10 years, we should do a Love Boat podcast. I don't think that's out there, is it? The Love Boat or Fantasy Island?
I don't know. I remember watching those as a kid.
Yeah. The Love Boat. Yeah. So, okay, we're going as slow as the molasses in here. So,
okay.
Jessica invites Seth over for dinner, and he's like, "What's on the menu?" And just say yes, you dick. Don't ask what's on the menu first.
Right. If you show up, you're going to get a little action. Come on. I mean, they're openly flirting with each other. He obviously likes her. She likes him.
Yes. It's like, what's that show, Northern Exposure, where the main guy and that pretty girl, they're always doing the back and forth. It reminds me of that kind of chemistry, and I never thought about that before. But watching this episode, I thought of that. Like, they're in love with each other. All they have to do is do the deed, and bada bing, bada boom, live together. But Jessica won't do that probably because she's not over Frank's death.
So,
which I think literally comes up in another episode.
In the previous seasons, I've dabbled in a few episodes here and there. There's always another guy that seems to have a romantic interaction with Jessica. I don't know the characters' names well enough to really kind of throw them out there, but yeah. I know in the first season or is it the second season? There's a guy, he works the docks. He's dark hair. I can't
Beard?
think it was. No, he doesn't have a beard.
Oh, so he's not the guy at the very end of this story.
No.
Okay.
No. That'd be weird.
Yeah, there's always somebody, and once that person ended up being the murderer. We had the last episode. We had Fritz Weaver, the French detective, who was always kind of like until at the last moment of the episode, where he's like, "You pick up."
There goes our French listeners. Okay.
All deux of them. No, deux of them. Deux. And then there was the guy in the airplane in that one. Murder. What was the name of that? I can't remember the name of that episode. Oh, the corpse from First Class. The Scotland Yard gentleman, who's in my favorite Dario Argento movie, Deep Red. Just saying. So
okay, yeah. Let's get back to this episode.
Yeah. So Jessica's like, "Hey, girl. Hey, Eudora. What's in your bag? What do you have in that valise or whatever briefcase?" And we know that Eudora probably stole some of Jessica's
What's in the
stuff.
Box?
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. And like Jessica, she brings it up
Seth
politely.
said, that's what's in that box. Okay.
Except
it'd be bulging in the middle if it was.
I'll wait until you're done with your.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So
okay, where are we? Yeah, what's in the briefcase? She won't.
Yeah.
Eudora will not. No, that's private property. You're not allowed to see. And of course, Jessica already knows. She's got a very good idea what happened that night because the car moved. She's figured she was drugged, and she noticed that her manuscript pages have been rearranged.
But what's interesting is that as the audience, we know that she looked through her notes. She looked through Jessica's notes, but why would she drive the car that night? And that's not explained until later, so there is a little bit of a mystery. And the sheriff, I can't remember what damning evidence. The dead body. They find the wallet, and there's a piece of paper in it with her name and address on it.
Right.
So he brings her in for questioning, and she basically tells Sheriff Metzger to go fuck himself, and walks out. And I just want to talk. Yeah. I just want to talk about. There's one character in here. He's in a lot of every episode in Cabot Cove. I think he's in. Is Deputy Floyd? He's like, Sheriff, your wife's on the phone. By the way. The sheriff, his wife's name I think is Anne. You never see her. We never see her throughout the entire series is what I read. I wonder where they got that idea. Do you think they got that from somewhere?
I don't know. Yeah, and she does call him for like, yes, dear, I'll pick up a pint of ice cream and strawberries.
Why don't you pick Chinese food? Why don't you order some Chinese food?
Yeah.
So Eudora's in the frying pan, and what happens next, Steve? Because I don't remember.
So yeah, Liza finds out that Eudora, because of the news article, she finds out Eudora is in Cabot Cove, and so she goes down there, ends up hooking up with Hank. They have a little romantic moment.
If you're an attractive young woman like Liza. Nothing is hotter than a balding, slightly dad body, big tall guy like Hank.
Yeah. Okay.
But then again, she was on Coach, so that actress, I can't remember her name. Yeah. But what I love is that she shows up and she tells Hank, "I'm worried about Eudora. I think she might do something to Jessica Fletcher." So what Hank does is he looks up Jessica's name in the phone book. But what's curious is he looks like he's looking at the names from A and B, not F. It's like, dude, and would her name really be in the phone book? Would it really be in the phone book? I don't know. Small town.
Yeah.
I know that Henny Youngman was in the phone book. You could look up the phone book in L.A. and he'd be right there, so you could call him.
Okay.
Well, Jessica's not home when Hank tries to call her, although Seth, being the rude bastard that he is, lets himself into Jessica's house. I guess he either has a key or she leaves the door unlocked.
Well, she even says that, I think, doesn't she, to Eudora? Like, Eudora's like, why would you want to live in this podunk, backwatered, town. And Jessica's like, well, it's actually kind of grows on you. It's great.
Yeah.
The neighborhood's safe. You can walk around and not worry about... I can see Jessica leaving the door open.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And by the way, I would if I was a mystery author, I would live in some... I want to be a mystery author. I think I can do it. But I'd have to move to, like, Ireland and, like, live in, like, a cabin and get rid of all my alcohol and DVDs and Blu-rays and the TV and all that and just live like, a monk and churn out mystery stories.
Oh, you wouldn't live with John Wayne and be thrown around for a very
no, I'm not.
Forceful kiss in the wind
No.
with an Irish gale behind you. Okay.
I've never seen that movie, believe it or not.
The Quiet Man?
Yeah, I never saw it. I know it's heresy. My name is Sean, and I've never seen The Quiet Man. So Seth lets him. He's there to borrow a pie dish, which he's enamored with. When he sees it in the shelf, he like examines it closely, like it's a piece of evidence. Even though I don't think Seth is a guy that bakes pies. He doesn't come across like that.
No, he would buy the pie. There's no way in hell he's baking a pie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because he's bringing dessert for dinner tonight, and so I mean, someone who is going to bake a pie doesn't have a pie dish, so I wouldn't want to eat his whatever he makes.
You know what? He said, "I'll bring the pie," or "I'll bring dessert" when she invites him over. I could have sworn that he said, "I'll bring the gin." I'm like, okay. I don't think Jessica's ever
maybe that's a reference to sex. Like I'll bring over the Cool Whip and we'll have dessert.
Maybe it's like, I'll bring over the Arabian ghost that will haunt you the rest of your life, Jessica. Yeah, I shouldn't do that. Jinn. D-G-I-N-N. Jinn is basically Middle Eastern ghost or demon. Yeah. So he's like,
so not Barbara Eden. You're not talking about
that
kind of Jinn. Yeah.
No. He's like, hey, I'm here for the pie dish. I'll stay for the apples, because he sees these delicious apples.
He sees apples, and his eyes just grow. Like, oh my god, look at this! Like you and I, when we saw those apples, we're like, oh my god, I want one.
Yeah, they are the best fucking apples ever. Man, they're like the apples from the trees in the Wizard of Oz.
So the way he eats that apple too, it's not like he takes like just a bite. I mean, he like opens his mouth as wide as, I don't know, a xenomorph, and just sticks the whole thing in it. How do you close your mouth with that big of a bite? I just don't understand. I mean, he's got like a third of the apple in his mouth, and these are big apples, by the way. There's no way you can't eat an apple. He does. I mean, he must.
Yeah. You know what they say too? An apple a day keeps the doctor away, which is literally,
that's funny.
Oh my god! Because it turns out, as soon as he eats the apple, he has some sort of...
He dies.
Fit, and no, he doesn't die.
Oh, come on. Well, it's to be continued. We assume, because after he takes a bite out of the apple, he happily walks out the door and stops, turns around, throws the pie dish somewhere soft off camera.
No, he does. He doesn't drop it. He throws it.
And he falls to the ground. To be continued.
Yeah. Or Jessica comes in.
I like to think that if we're in the moment, okay, we have to wait until next week. Seth is dead. Let's just assume that he died of poison, because we assume those apples, like in Snow White, right? Mm-hmm. So does that make Seth Snow White?
Well, I think that makes Seth one of the 7 dwarves who took a bite of the apple when he... Wasn't there a 7 dwarf named Greedy or Hungry? I don't think there was, but...
Are you talking about Smurfs or Snow White?
Oh, yeah, there was a Greedy Smurf. And yeah, was he just like the chef, and he would just bake these huge, like, strawberry shortcake stuff? And
yeah, with the strawberry in the middle. Oh, yeah. Like, you would think he would have a little more variety.
Yeah. It's always... Dude, you make a steak. Have some fried chicken. Why are you always making parfaits and shit? And then there's Vanity Smurf, gay as a whistle. I mean, he was so gay. I mean, when you look at that now, it's like, why when they were making this, it's an
inclusive. They have to be inclusive. You have to have the brainy one. You have to have the one that's good with his hands. You've got to have the Smurfette. Even as a kid, I don't know how old I was when I was watching Smurfs on the Saturday mornings, but it always occurred to me that even as a kid, that she was probably getting smurfed every
Yes! Yes! How were they making Smurfs? There was a baby Smurf at one time, I
Smurfs!
remember.
Smurfs! Where are they coming from?
Man, and I would buy them. Well, my mom would buy them. But there were like 100 of them. And, oh man, for a while I was obsessed with Smurfs there, but yeah. Anyway.
Well, that was the thing. Did you have the little mushroom house that you could put your little Smurfs in?
I didn't have the mushroom house. Did not
you didn't
have
the
that.
accessories.
You just had
the Smurfs.
Yeah.
And then would you like do little role playing with the Smurfs?
Yes, absolutely yes. Like, oh, hi, how are you? My favorite episode, and oh man, I don't know why we're talking about this, because this is a drunk Murder, She Wrote podcast. There was an episode of the Smurfs where they would turn into like zombies, and they'd turn purple, and they'd jump around, and they'd go, Ganesh, Ganesh, Ganesh!
Yeah, yeah.
And they would bite each other, and then they would turn... Man, and as a kid, I loved that, and because it was like a horror episodes of the Smurfs. It was like a Smurfs treehouse of horror. And then there was Gargamel, who dude just wanted to eat the Smurfs, but he lived in a castle. It's like you can't afford to just order takeout. You have to get the Smurfs and his cat Azrael, which by the way, when I got Gargamel and Azrael, I was as happy as a clam. But the problem is that he was only like double the size of a Smurf. Yeah.
So a Smurf would be like a turkey to him.
Oh my god, I'm having a flashback. And remember, oh my god, remember Johan and Pee Wee?
I stopped watching it when they came around.
Okay. Steve's a little older than me, ladies and gentlemen. I stopped watching it a little bit after that. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Back to Murder, She Wrote.
Back to Murder, She Wrote.
So we find out that that Seth. So this is the second episode, part 2. Seth is not dead, but he has been poisoned.
Yeah,
and we find out that it was the apple that was poisoned, or it was poisoned with rat poison specifically.
Yeah, although they don't say that. They don't say that until later. It's like I'm used to mysteries where they say, "Well, he was poisoned with strychnine," or we think it was cyanide. Well, if it was cyanide, he'd be fucking dead. But strychnine usually it doesn't act that quick. And I have researched this for my own purposes. You would normally go into a seizure. You would normally go into a seizure. I do murder mystery parties. I know a little bit, And
right.
No, really. So at this point, it's established that everybody that Eudora knows, her agent, her publisher, her husband, all of them, her husband's son, they're all in Cabot Cove now because that's how... Oh, and her agent's husband, they're all in Cabot Cove because that's how Murder, She Wrote do. Even if all the...
well, they're all worried about Eudora. Well, yeah, but the reason they're there is because they all are worried that Eudora will do something. I mean, she's got a I guess she has a reputation. They're all concerned that she's going to take things a little too far with Jessica.
And her publisher tells her so, and she's like, "Well, wait, no, I can't. Won't you have me back, and I can write books for you?" He's like, "No, lady, no, you're washed up. You're finished with it." And there's kind of a cool shot where they're in a taxi cab, and she tells the driver, "Pull over." And Murder, She Wrote is not the show to watch if you want, like, Lord of the Rings type landscapes. But he pulls over, and we have a really nice shot of two people getting out of a taxi cab at the top of a cliff. And
yeah. If she would have said "pull over" literally 10 seconds later, he would have pulled off the cliff.
Oh, so let's see. We have Bobby. Let's go back to Bobby, the murderer. He apparently, I guess, Cabot Cove has a haven of pool sharks in it, and he loses a bunch of money to the local pool sharks.
Yeah, the yokels, as he puts it.
Yeah. Oh, and he got a girlfriend at the cafe. He met a nice, pretty waitress, which reminds me, for some reason, of Peter Falk in Murder by Death. You ever do it with a waitress? a big blonde waitress. David Niven. Never mind. So Bobby, I always want to say Angela. Jessica goes with him to the hospital, and the doctor...
He gets into a fight with one of the other guys that he's playing pool with. He doesn't pay up, so they're going to take it out on him, and they beat him pretty badly. And that's when Metzger kind of breaks up the fight. They happen to be there. Jessica and Metzger happen to be there after interviewing Victor and finding out about the love affair that Liza and Hank are having.
Yes,
and also learning about the PI as well. They get information because he's the one that hired the PI to follow them.
He first hired him to follow Liza around. Then he's like, I think she's being too elusive, so I hired him to follow Hank around, and that's why the PI was in Cabot Cove to begin with.
Right.
So Bobby goes to the hospital. He's been beaten up by... the character's name is Arnie, according to IMDb, or Arnold. I think they call him Arnold in the show.
Arnold,
but on IMDb, it's Arnie. I think he looks more like an Arnie, but whatever. And what happens next? I feel like I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff.
No. So Angela's talking to Bobby, and the doctor's like, "You need to be still because you're lucky. You should have gotten stitches." Blah blah blah. But this is where the actor who plays Bobby really puts on the smacking more so. And I don't know if they stuffed cotton balls in his cheek, but yeah, I got beaten. I mean, he's just going to town, and that's an over-exaggeration what I just did, but oh my god. Like, he will not stop smacking every other word.
You know what? I'm going to make a confession. I liked it. I thought it had sort of an ASMR effect. The reason he had a swollen lip because he had just been punched in the mouth, but the man's a complete baby. I mean, the doctor's like not even giving him stitches. He's applying antiseptic to his wounds. He's like, "Oh, doc, give me a break." Fuck that. I've poured salt and hydrogen peroxide with a Q-tip into a gaping canker sore, and I liked it. So whatever. Canker sores.
Okay.
Gotta love it.
But yeah, Bobby kind of, he's talking to Jessica. She's interviewing him to find out what happened, and he lets a little thing slip about how much he knows. One of the things he talks about is like, "Oh yeah, I know about that. She was trying to steal, or that Eudora was trying to steal your manuscript. Dad told me about that, and I guess that's why she probably tried to kill you." That makes his first, which nobody knew about except for Angela, Seth, the sheriff, and who else?
You said
I think
Angela.
that's it.
Eudora.
Eudora and Jessica, yeah. So it wasn't common knowledge that someone tried to poison her.
Right.
No,
they wanted
Hank
to keep
wouldn't
it
have known.
tight.
Yeah. They even make a point. The sheriff even says, "Don't tell anybody that." By the way, because I don't want to deal. I don't know. I guess it'd be backlash for the poor fruit stand person, but the sheriff even specifically says, Don't tell the press about it, and Jessica even tells Seth, don't tell anybody about the apple. So there's no way that anybody outside of that small group of people, and Eudora is in prison, by the way. So how would
And she's refusing to see anybody. She doesn't want to see
especially
Hank.
Hank.
She'll only talk to Jessica. No. Yeah. And when they were in prison, or not prison, it's technically jail. Prison is where you go after you've been convicted. It reminds me of when the Golden Girls went to jail because they were mistaken for prostitutes.
I can definitely see that.
Do you ever see that episode? No? Okay.
No, I never really. I don't know the episodes that well.
They're good.
I'm sorry.
That show ages very, very well, much like this show usually. Yeah. But there's a very big scene where they find the murder weapon. And the guy's been dead for like a day and a half, yet there's still fresh blood on this rock that's out in the woods.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Also, the sheriff finds a pair of broken glasses. And he's like, "Yep, this is it." And it's like there's like a dramatic like, doo. And it's like, okay, he was killed in the woods, and then the killer moved his body.
We already knew that.
Yeah,
we already
it's
knew
like,
that.
Okay, I thought maybe the glasses were going to be like a big clue that the composer was telling us. But no, that's a misdirection. I don't know if it's on purpose, but it is. And
well, we do find out before we leave the scene with Bobby in the hospital. Hank comes to check on him, and Bobby's like, "Oh no!" Hank says, "What happened? What happened to your face?" And Bobby gives him the Cliff Notes version of you know, and he's like, "Dad, after this, let's go back to the pool hall and you know take it out on them or whatever." And Hank has been a complete gentleman, except for the love affair. But he's been a complete gentleman, very level-headed individual. He even says to him, he goes, "It was probably your fault, and we should just leave well enough alone. We're not going to cause any trouble." But Hank's that kind of guy, and so I never suspected him at all. He just seemed like he was just too nice. He didn't want to cause anybody any trouble. You know, he and Eudora weren't getting along, but I don't think anybody would be happily married to that woman.
No, obviously. And Victor, her husband, is a complete ass. He's just so, you could tell. So, you know, you do feel sympathy for these two characters, but I still felt that Liza was the murderer. Now, I'm going to tell you why. I always suspected her because I just felt like she was like an ancillary character, and it's going to turn out it's her. Mm-hmm. And I have to give this show more credit for throwing us red herrings. Jessica meets Hank and Liza on the street while Jessica's riding her bicycle around. And they have a conversation like, they just found the murder weapon out in the woods, yada, yada, yada. And then Liza says, if I didn't know he loved me enough to hire a private investigator to follow me. And then they cut to Jessica, and Jessica kind of gives her the side eye, or as if she's like, I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, that must be a clue. That must be a clue. And I think it's Liza, because how did she know that her husband hired a private investigator? The private investigator's client has not been revealed to anybody. Who told her? And I thought that was going to be the gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's not. Liza is innocent.
She's just horny.
For that?
Well, and Victor, her husband, kind of said, but she's a what do you call somebody? A gold digger. As soon as she finds out that somebody's going to have money, she'll be in bed with them. And the thinking is that Hank will divorce, Eudora, and he'll get a large settlement. Or whatever you call 50%. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
alimony. They call
alimony.
it a settlement, but it's alimony. I don't know why they didn't use the word alimony.
But we find out from Hank when Angela kind of gives him that, because that might be a motive for Hank. Again, I didn't suspect him at all, but if you're looking for a motive, that would, I guess, be it. But Hank says, no, we signed a prenup. I'm not getting a penny. As a matter of fact, I probably owe her money. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing. And again, it kind of reinforces that Hank's a really nice guy. He probably truly loved Eudora and said, look, I'm not marrying you for your money. If you want me to sign something, I'll do it. And again, he's not trying to start trouble with the locals. He, wants to spend time with his son that he feels like he neglected in his younger years. I mean, Hank's a really stand-up guy. He's just, I really liked him. I thought he was. I kind of wish there was a happy ending for him.
Yeah, and there's not. It does not go well with Hank. And I almost what if he's the murderer? Like, I don't want him. I was like emotionally like, oh, I hope he's not the murderer, because he's just kind of like, he's not handsome. He's just this middle-aged guy. He's just a normal, average guy. He doesn't even dress up all nice. He's just.
Really? Well, no, he wears slacks and a jacket.
Yeah, no tie, because it seems like everybody at this time wore a tie. That's not totally true, but let's cut to the final scene in the bar. Oh, my
right.
God.
So they go. I guess they suspect. Why did they suspect that Bobby might be involved somehow? Well, anyways, they go to the hotel, Hank and Bobby's hotel, and they see a gun holster, which belonged to the PI, which was missing on the body. They find that, but
stupid.
What?
I don't know if you kill somebody and then you take an item of their clothing with you, you're going to just leave it on the dresser.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Good point. But the gun's missing. So they, why do they end up going back to the pool hall?
I don't know why they go to the pool hall, because there's no indication. Well, I guess Hank's like, well, my son's probably at the pool hall right now. Let's go over there. And he is at the pool hall. He's got a gun, and he hits Arnie over the head with a pool stick, and he's wielding the gun.
And I think half the time it looks like he's eating something. Put your hands on so I can see them. I'm like, oh my god. Someone please end this episode now. I just can't handle him anymore. Hank shows up with Metzger and Jessica. And the father actually talks him down.
Yeah.
And
he confesses that he killed the PI, whose name they tell us, but I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember either.
He's got the PI's gun, and later on, Jessica's like, well, I knew it was him. I didn't know that he killed the PI, but I knew that he poisoned the apples. And he's the murderer. Okay, so are we going to talk about...
That kid is just fucked up. I mean, Bobby
totally.
is just a...
He's also going to get... No, I'm not going to say that. Okay.
So he probably helped... The relationship between Hank and Eudora wasn't the best, but he sure didn't help. That's for sure. I mean, if he was any issues, I mean, he's charging up credit cards, constantly asking for money. I mean, he eats all the liverwurst. I mean, it's just...
But here's
not
his
a good
motive.
kid.
Here's his motive. He killed the PI because the PI was going to disclose the affair between Hank and Liza. Therefore, he would no longer be kept in gin and stockings, with Eliza's. Eudora's money. Mm-hmm. That's the motive. And also, he poisoned the apples. Okay, do we want to talk about the epilogue of this episode, or do you want to hear me bitch about it? We'll talk about the epilogue.
Okay, go ahead.
After the killer is revealed and probably taken away, Eudora kind of refuses to apologize to Jessica for being.
Yeah, Jessica
bitch.
puts out her hand to say, it was a pleasure, and Eudora just refuses. Snubs her nose, turns her nose, and walks out. Turns.
And I felt, you know what, Eudora, you're a bitch. You're a bitch.
Yeah.
I started out,
was.
kind of like warming onto you, and no, you've done so many bad things to Jessica. Like,
yeah,
you turns out you didn't poison the apples, but you did look through all her papers to find her story. Like, you are just, and Hank takes Eudora out of the police station. He's like, "Come on, let's bring you back to the hotel." Did they hook up again? And they're not going to get a divorce? And he's not going to go off with Liza? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But, this one has a huge, I wouldn't say huge, kind of an epilogue at the end, in which we see, Seth invites Jessica, we're going to go fishing tomorrow.
Well, hold on. Eudora does show up later at Jessica's doorstep.
Oh, that's right.
And apologizes and says, "I've been absolutely horrible to you. I am gonna take a break from writing for a while, but I want to thank you. And so that's where she kind of turns around. I would have liked if Eudora just snubbed her and walked out, and that was the end of Eudora.
Yeah,
and maybe have her as a recurring character every other season, as just being.
I
her
agree.
nemesis.
Yes, she would be like the Master from Doctor Who, like the exact opposite. Yeah. But they wouldn't do that with this show.
No,
very few reoccurring characters.
But yeah, Seth. One of the things he was saying to her during the fight, he's like, you need to take a break from writing and stop and smell the roses, basically. And he even invites her. He takes Jessica back home, and at the end of the episode, and says, look, I'm going to go fishing at Duck Creek or whatever the fuck it was, Duck Island, I think, actually, and I'll be there at 9 a.m. Why don't you come along? And Jessica's like, no, I'm almost done with this book. Let me finish it. And Seth is kind of, okay. And so he drives off. And I guess she's, for whatever reason, the next morning, after she talks to Eudora, she kind of takes to heart what Eudora says about, taking a break. And again, we're talking about mirror images here. Mirror, mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she decides, yes, I think I will to go on that fishing trip after all. And so we see her running to to find Seth. Hopefully he hadn't taken off yet, or the charter boat he had, but yeah,
and
but they find each other, they embrace, and yeah.
Oh, I'm an hour late, I'm so sorry. And Seth is like, oh, it's because of mechanical problems. And she's like, okay. And then she talks to the captain, and he's like, no, we was waiting for you. And that happened. Now, this is the last episode of season 5, and I searched online for this. I don't know for sure, but they might have thought that this would be the closing story for the entire series. Because really? You see that in Columbo a lot. Like Leslie,
that would make
Commodore.
Sense. Yeah.
But it did go on for 7 more seasons, so maybe not. I don't know, but it makes sense as at least a season closer. So
it would definitely make sense as a series closer. But yeah. Okay. All right, you ready to review it?
Yeah, let's review it. Give us the number.
Okay, so when we're reviewing this, we're not doing independent episodes. We're going to combine these 2 episodes together for a total score.
Yes.
So, Sean, what would you rate this 1 out of a $400 VCR player?
I knew you were going to pick that one. Either that or 698,
Why?
Which is Jessica's address. Liked it. I'm gonna give it a 258 out of 400. Okay, I had some problems with this. I didn't have a problem with it most of the way through, but when we got to the end and it was revealed that Bobby was the murderer, first of all, I don't know about his motive. Whatever, maybe that's not as important. But Steve, can you tell me exactly when? Okay, so this is the thing. Steve and his dad are in New York, and his dad's diabetic.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, did I say Steve? Jesus Christ.
Yes, you did.
Okay, Bobby and Hank are in New York. Hank's diabetic. They drive down to Cabot Cove to follow Eudora. They get there at 2 a.m, and then somehow Bobby manages to meet the PI in the early mornings of the hour, or the early hours of the morning, I should say, and bludgeon him, and then move his body and throw it off the cliff. All right? Mm-hmm. Not only that,
he cleaned the car.
But he has to clean the car. Whatever. That's whatever. But he also had to take one of his dad's syringes and poison the apples. Now, riddle me this, Steve. Riddle me this. How did he know where the private investigator was? How did he know to bring a syringe with him? And how did he poison the apples?
Well, I'm assuming since Bobby was driving from New York to Cabot Cove, that maybe he noticed, like, that car has been with us since New York. That's weird. And Bobby seems to be a really suspicious kind of character anyways. Uh-huh. So maybe that's something he picked up on. The syringe, it's possible that, the father was doing his lunchtime injection during the drive, because it is, what they say, an 8-hour drive. Metzger said how long it was because he counts the time when he's driving with his wife. So, So I'm sure he took shots in the car at some point, and maybe he left a syringe in the car. Now, rat poison, I'm assuming that would be a common thing to get at any store.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was under Jessica's cabinets, under her sink. But yeah, it does seem like Bobby was very active. I mean, he did all that. Plus, he met the waitress. Plus, he got into a $500 debt with the locals at the pool hall. So yeah, Bobby was busy. A lot going on.
But how did he poison the apples? How did he know? How did he know that she bought apples and brought them to Jessica? And how did he know to go to her house? And did he sneak inside and poison the apples? It doesn't make any sense.
I think his intent was to shoot Jessica with the gun. Right?
Bullshit.
I think that was
no.
But he saw the apples. And remember, there was a note with the apples that said to Jessica from, Eudora. And I guess he thought it would it would incriminate Eudora, because it even says these are from Eudora, which would be the stupidest thing for her to, if she wanted to kill Jessica. You would not put a note with the apples. I'm guessing.
I actually I appreciate your theory that he kills the PI, he gets his gun, he goes over to Jessica's home. She doesn't have the door unlocked, so he's there like in the middle of the night, like at 4:00. That's not typically the middle of the night. That's like very, very early morning. So he's going to go over there and he's going to shoot Jessica and make it look like his stepmother did it. Okay. But then he sees the apples and he's like, why? I just happen to have this syringe filled with rat poison on me. I think I'll inject these apples to make it, it doesn't work.
That doesn't bother me, but I tell you, the part that bothers me is, how does he know Jessica's going to eat that and not somebody else? For example, Seth.
Right.
How does he know that maybe he didn't care. Maybe he's just so psychotic. He doesn't care who he kills, in hopes that but see, that's guessing that Jessica's going to eat the apple. And his intent is to kill Jessica to incriminate, Eudora. So it seems like there's too much up to chance,
right?
That Jessica will eat one of those apples.
Why did he meet the private eye in the woods? How was that arranged?
I thought he confronted him.
Okay.
In the middle of the night, being followed. Well, yeah, and so he gets in the car and he sees, that car from New York is following me again. Maybe he drives into the woods. PI follows to see what's going on. Maybe there's going to be a romantic. He doesn't know it's Bobby. Maybe he thinks it's Hank, and there's going to be a romantic connection in the woods, I guess. And so that's when Bobby maybe sneaks up on him.
I'm not buying it. I don't like the solution to this one. I don't think it would have been Bobby. I just can't. I don't know. If I was on the jury, I'd let him go. I think it was more likely Liza, but the story does. I mean, I need to know more. I'd love to know more about what the scriptwriter was thinking. I changed it at the last minute to be this person instead of this person. Totally thought it was Liza, and maybe she didn't know about the prenup with Hank, but that wouldn't make any sense because they're having this affair.
Right.
And I just
I don't think she knew about the prenup.
Yeah.
In my opinion, my headcanon.
And if she didn't, then there we go. There's our motive. And she didn't have an alibi, and it's not clear when Bobby and Hank drive into town. Did they stay in the same hotel room together? Did they have separate rooms? I think they had separate rooms.
I thought they stayed in the same room.
I thought that too, but they had to break into his room. And if Hank was in the same room, Hank would have just given him the key. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a fairly weird murder, complicated murder for somebody who is just he's dumb. He's dumb. He's a dumb murderer. I mean, if he was on Columbo... take a drink. Columbo would have gotten him in 10 minutes. And he had the holster of the deceased on his dressing table in the hotel room. Dude, no. I mean, you don't have to be, I don't know, whatever, to know you. It's probably not a good idea. Put it. I don't know. This was not good. I would have
taken the holster because you would have to physically move his arms up and pull it off. It would just be easier just to take the gun.
Yeah,
why do you need
exactly.
The holster?
Exactly. Yes, indeedy. Yes. Shit. Wait a minute.
What?
Never mind. That was a clue in a Columbo episode, but it was not one that Peter Fisher wrote. That was a clue in the Columbo episode with Patrick McGowan where he played the spy, and Leslie Nielsen was the victim, and his coat was removed, and Columbo wondered why in the world would the murderer remove his coat, and it was to remove his holster with the gun in it. So, better clues in that show. This is I enjoyed it, but I did not like the ending.
All right, so $258 out of $400.
Yeah, that's kind of half, 50% almost, a little over.
Okay.
So
well, I enjoyed this more than you. I liked the character Eudora. When I mentioned earlier, I wish they would have kind of kept her snooty and cold. I would have loved to have seen her come back, or hope maybe she could come back. I don't know, but sounds like she doesn't. And I don't like the kind of the character change at the very end. I would like to have seen her just leave, snubbing Jessica. I enjoyed the actor who plays Seth, our doc. He kind of a grumpy old curmudgeon.
Yeah,
kind of speaking the truth for Jessica. I kind of enjoyed the kind of the on and off flirting that they had together.
Yeah. There's a great scene. There's a great scene when he's in the hospital at the beginning of the second episode, and she's crying.
Yeah,
she doesn't pull on the tears that well, but yeah, she's clearly concerned about him, and it's rare of the stuff that we watched where we see her do something like that. And I really thought it was well done. It really was well done.
Yeah, but I overly enjoyed it. I like that Eudora was set up so perfectly to be the killer. Just from exterior appearances, she's the killer. If we didn't know this was a TV show and that it would be way too obvious to make her, the villain of the film or of the TV show. Yeah, she seems to be perfect for it. It was greatly acted. Jean did a great job. I thought she was fantastic.
She would have been a good Columbo. She would have been a good Columbo murderer. I know.
I can't drink anymore, Sean. Stop it. So I'm going to rate it a little bit more. I'm going to out of $400 VCR. I'm going to rate it $299.89.
Oh, okay, excellent, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I'm actually really impressed with is that we've seen 5 episodes so far, and there hasn't been one that I just hated. And the only one that I think that I'll hate is the Magnum PI one, which we're not going to do that. At least because we already skipped. We already not skipped, but we already did the season that was in. Like, none of this completely sucks. I'm gonna say that this episode, the end sucks, and you're watching a murder mystery to find out who did it and how they did it, and it doesn't make sense to me at the end. But for some reason, like, I didn't mind that much. Like, watching the back and forth between Jessica and Eudora and all that, and Jessica getting madder and madder at Eudora. So yeah, I'm kind of more impressed with the show than I thought I would be. I mean, I thought that there would be episodes where it was just as corny as Kansas on the 4th of July, to quote Jeffrey Price. But we haven't really gotten any of that. So, yeah. All right.
So, ready to pick the next one?
Yes, Steve, if you will, put your hands on the season 6. What do I call it? Wheel of Fortune, randomizer, the wheel. Put your hands on there and tell me when you're going to spin it.
I'm spinning it now, Sean, right in front of your face.
I love it when people spin it in front of my face. All right. We are going to watch episode 3, season 6, which is called The Grand Old Lady.
Grand Old Lady.
Wow.
Is that OLD or OL?
What?
Is that old, like OLD?
Yeah, old. Like, I'm old.
Yeah. Not like the Grand Old Opry or something like that, but Grand Old.
No. So I that's such a ambiguous title. I'm really curious. Not the Grand Old Lazy. Normally I don't do this, and I'll just watch it. Well, my phone is just thinking. I don't think it has a good connection, so I can't see what this is going to be about. Can you pull it up?
Okay. You want me to do the preview? Oh no, I gotta get my phone.
Yeah, my phone's still doing circly things. Or we don't have to
pay your phone bill.
We don't have to look it up. Sometimes that has spoilers if you look it up on IMDb. So yeah.
No. I'm looking it up now. Got me. Thanks. Start typing. Grand Old Lady. The death of a legendary mystery writer at the ripe old age of 101 prompts Jessica to recount a 1947 murder aboard the Queen Mary. What? So it takes place in 1947 on the Queen Mary. Jessica probably plays the young version of, I'm guessing, of this 100-year-old. So it's basically like Titanic, where we see the old lady drop the Diamond of Hope or whatever it was.
Yeah. Okay. So, Aubrey Morris is in this. He was the one that was in that episode of. He was in some. Robert Vaughn is in this. Let's see.
Interesting.
I don't know anybody. Okay, so I think this is it. I think this may be the season, and there was a season or two where Angela Lansbury was like, well, I don't want to be in front of the camera anymore. I want to be a producer. So why don't we do stories that involve people solving mysteries that don't involve Jessica Fletcher? And I suspect, but I don't know for sure, that this might be one of them. But that's okay. This is one of the reasons why I didn't want to do all the shows consecutive order, because then you hit this patch in a season or two where like none of them involve Jessica, and it's like, oh, let me introduce you to Rando, detective on this boat, and he's going to solve a mystery. But okay, it's a period piece. That's kind of cool. Jessica isn't in it. Whatever. But yeah, so this will be our first taste of that. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how the show did. You're silent.
I'm just thinking. I don't know if I'm going to like this one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of too. I'm like, okay. But, you never know. It might be a good story. Let's see who wrote it here. Peter... Oh! Wait, no. It's not Peter Fisher. It's... it was written by... it was written by Peter Fisher, who wrote this episode. And he wrote all those Columbos. So, you never know.
Another drink. Okay. All right, Sean. Until next time.
Adios. Say goodnight, Steve.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Cabot Cove Confab. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a favorable review on Apple Podcasts. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Cabot Cove Confab or email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com.